This is the kind of move that turns a dangerous team into a cold-blooded contender, and if you blink over the next few days, you might miss the moment Detroit quietly fixes the one weakness every offensive coordinator has circled in red. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report. I'm here with you, like always, talking straight from the heart of this fan base to every Lions fan watching. And if you want real-time updates, serious breakdowns, and every credible rumor about our Detroit Lions, this is where you stay locked in with me. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through why the front office has zero interest in wasting this window, how the national reporting around the secondary is lining up, why New Orleans is the kind of desperate situation that opens doors, and why one specific name from that defense fits our identity so well that people inside and outside the building have started connecting the dots. No empty hype, no fantasy mode talk. I'm going to break down contract, tape, scheme fit, price, risk, and what this would tell us about how Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell see the stretch run. So ride with me until the end because the picture only makes sense when you put all the pieces together. You already know where this conversation starts. Detroit is no longer the feel-good rebuild story. Detroit is hunting. The offense has an identity. The culture is real. Ford Field is one of the hardest places to breathe for an opponent, and the expectation shifted from maybe to go take it. When that happens, every soft spot in your roster becomes louder. And for all the strides this defense has made, every coordinator we talk about on this channel has attacked the same stress points. Matchups in space, traffic in the slot, those third and mediums where one hesitation from a defensive back lets a drive survive. We've seen injuries, we've seen rotations, we've seen smart patches, but we also know that if you give this staff one more trustworthy, aggressive, versatile defensive back who lives for contact and doesn't blink on an island, the whole structure tightens. That's why, as the deadline buzz heats up, Detroit keeps coming up in conversations whenever a legit cornerback's name is mentioned, especially one who can live inside, bounce outside, tackle, blitz, and carry vertical routes without help. And on the other side of this, you've got the New Orleans Saints in a brutal spot. Cap questions stacking up, aging pieces, a roster that needs draft capital and flexibility, and a front office that can't ignore calls forever when contenders start asking about value. They've got a young corner who has been on the field a ton, who's put quality tape out there, who brings juice, length, and attitude, and who's heading toward a payday right when they're trying to solve a bigger puzzle. Put that together with respected analysts listing him as a trade candidate and linking his skill set to cornerback-needy teams, and suddenly this isn't just bar talk, it's a proper league conversation. Now let's talk football, because that's where this gets really interesting for us. Alontae Taylor is not a flashy, name-chasing target, he's a tone target. He plays with edge, he competes at the catch point, he has the speed to carry verticals and the toughness to stick his nose in the run game, and he's already shown he can handle volume snaps in different roles. For Aaron Glenn and the staff, that matters. Detroit asks a lot of its defensive backs. Pattern match, tackle in space, blitz off the edge, survive in man when they heat up the pocket, and keep their composure in high leverage downs when Ford Field is shaking. Taylor's versatility lines up almost perfectly with that menu. You drop him in as a nickel who can travel, you trust him to flip outside when needed, and suddenly your sub-packages start to look a lot nastier. Instead of surviving at corner, you dictate with it. At the same time, he's at that sweet spot of his career. Experienced enough that you're not guessing, young enough that his best ball might come in a system that actually leans into his strengths instead of leaving him covering for bigger problems. From a Lions perspective, that is exactly the profile you look at when you're serious about building something sustainable and physical on defense. And look, I'm not here to sell you a done deal that doesn't exist. As of right now, there is no official agreement, no announcement, nothing locked. What we do have is a very real alignment of factors. National outlets listing Taylor among the realistic trade candidates, confirmation that teams are calling the Saints about him, analysis pieces pointing to Detroit as a logical fit because of our need in the secondary and his inside-outside flexibility, and the Saints front office staring at a cap crunch that makes moving a valuable piece for picks and relief an uncomfortable but rational option. Meanwhile, the Lions have space, a disciplined front office that has shown it will be targeted and patient, and a locker room culture strong enough to drop in another hungry, edgy defender without shaking the core. That's not smoke for nothing. That's a scenario you have to take seriously if you want to understand how this team might attack the market. So what would it actually mean if the Lions pulled the trigger and brought Alontae Taylor to Detroit? It would be a message. It would say, we're not waiting for the offseason to patch the last soft spots. We're backing this locker room right now. It would give Glenn another defensive back he can trust to play man on third down so he can unleash more creative pressure looks with Hutchinson in the front. It would reduce the need to overcompensate with soft zone on crucial downs. And it would let this defense line up across from the best in the NFC and not feel like they're trying to steal possessions with smoke and mirrors. Instead, it becomes straight up line up and play defense with one more physical, battle-tested corner in the mix. Picture Taylor on the field with a strengthened core, a nickel look with outside corners locking up, a safety roaming, Taylor crashing windows and carrying crossers, and a front that knows the ball has to come out on time because there are no easy answers inside. That's the kind of subtle upgrade that doesn't just show up on the highlight reels. It shows up on 3rd and 6 in January when you either get off the field or you watch a drive kill your season. Financially, you're talking about a manageable number in the short term with a decision point coming soon, which is exactly the kind of situation Holmes has navigated well. You trade for a player you believe in, then you decide if he's part of your core and pay him because he earned it in your building. The risk is clear. You give up assets for a player you'll eventually need to extend, and if he doesn't hit at the level you expect, you've burned capital in a league where every pick matters. But if the evaluation is right, you're essentially buying a starting caliber defensive back in his prime instead of rolling the dice on another stopgap. For a team living in a real contention window, that's the kind of calculated aggression that separates dangerous from legit terrifying. That's why, before we close, I want this straight from you. If the price is, say, a mid-round pick and a later conditional, do you make the move and trust the staff to turn Taylor into the missing piece in the secondary, or do you hold back and wait for a bigger name or the draft? Hit the comments and tell me if Alontae Taylor is the kind of mentality and versatility you want wearing Honolulu blue, or if you're out on sending assets for a defensive back with another contract on deck. Be honest, because this channel is built on real conversation with real Lions fans who understand windows, cap hits, and risk. My view, delivered clearly for you, Alontae Taylor to the Lions is not a lock, but it's one of the cleanest fits on the board. If New Orleans stays stubborn on compensation, you move on without regret. But if the numbers line up, this front office should absolutely be in that conversation, because a move like this would be about more than a name. It would be about tightening the one area that can decide playoff games. That's the concise truth I leave with you. Monitor it, respect it, don't buy into fake done deals, but understand why this rumor exists, why it gains strength, and why it makes football sense for a franchise that finally stopped apologizing for wanting to win big. If you're with me and you want every serious Lions rumor and every strategic move broken down like this, make sure you're subscribed to Lions News Fan Report, tap that like, share this with that Lions fan who lives for trade talk, and stay close, because whatever Holmes and Campbell decide to do next, I'll be right here with you.